Okay, so at the end of the last PowerPoint presentation, what I did was they gave us a task to build a program that would convert percentage numbers to letter grade. And so I was going to record me typing it, but you know what, to be honest with you, it took me a little while to type it. So this is the program that I finished. And so I'll just explain what everything does, and then I'll go through and we'll run the program so you can see what it does. So the first command here is text window title. That's going to put the title in the text window, and I'll explain that in a second. The next thing I did is I elected to choose a background color of blue. The next line here, we chose a foreground color, which is like the font color of yellow. The other thing I did is I wrote a line in the text window that says, welcome, how many percentages would you like to convert to letter grades? Okay. And then I put the variable number of grades, and then I put text window dot read number, because when we run the program, it's going to ask me to enter in the input. So let me run it real quick to show you up to that line. So notice in the title it says percentage of letter grade converter. Next it says welcome. How many percentages would you like to convert? Notice that the background is blue and the foreground is yellow. Now, I am hitting my keyboard in the letters, and it won't select or accept that input. It will only accept a number. So when I hit a number and hit enter, it moves on to the next part of the line. So I'll close the program. Now when I hit 2 and hit enter, what it did is it submitted the value of 2 to number grades. Okay. Then in the next line, just to verify that I entered in the number correctly, I had write the line you have entered plus number of grades, and then percentages to be converted to letter grades. So again, if I run the program and it'll ask me to enter in a number, I'll put in 32, and then it says you have entered 32 percentages to be converted to letter grades. Okay, and I'm going to stop right there. So what we've done is from here to here, from this line to here, was all that text that I just showed you. All right. So now the next thing we want to do is actually convert the grades. So if I entered in 8 for number of grades, I'm basically going to run the same program 8 times. So rather than write the program 8 times, I'm going to write the program once and stick it in a end for loop, so it'll run the program the exact number of times that I need it to run it. So how many times is that? Well, if I say for A equals 1 to the number of grades, what I'm telling the computer is we're going to run this for end loop, okay, this for end loop this many times, the number of grades. All right, and so if I enter in 10, it'll run this loop 10 times. It'll go through here and it'll do all this stuff, and then it'll do it again, and then it'll do it again 10 times if that's what I entered in for my grade. Well, what is it going to do? Well, what I want the computer to do is I want it to figure out a percentage based on a number I enter in and then automatically assign it to a letter grade. So I write a text window inside the for end loop that says write line, and then I put please enter the percentage number. Okay. Well, if I enter in 7 grades, it's going to ask me to enter in the percentage number for the first grade. So maybe I say percentage for grade number 1 or 2 or 3. Then I create a second variable called percent. So whatever number I plug in, it assumes that it's a percent, right? And then I'm going to run a program. So basically what I need to do at this point is I need the computer to print off A, B, C, or D over here, A, B, C, D, or F. I put F, depending on the percentage. So I'm just going to say if percent, so I use the if, else, and if commands. Okay? So now the way this works is if it says if the percent is greater than or equal to 90, which is normally an A, then text window dot right line, the percentage of whatever percent I entered in, percent is an A. Exceptional job. Now, that statement is only true if percent is greater than or equal to 90. If it is not true, then it goes to the next line, which is the else if. And then the command there is if the percentage or percent is greater or equal to 80, then it'll say the percent of whatever my number I entered in for percent plus is a B, great job. Now, if the number is not 90 or greater, that statement's false. If the number is not 80 or greater, that statement is false. So, for example, if I were to enter in 75, both of these statements are untrue. So it'll skip down here to this statement, if it is 70. Well, if it's not greater than or equal to 70, it'll skip down to this one. And so for each one, I've got a different response that I've entered in. Lastly, if it says that I get a D, it says you barely made it. So I set the D at greater than or equal to 60. Now, if all of these statements here are false, then the very last one has to be true, right? So the very last one, instead of putting else if, I just put else. In other words, if all these other things are false, then print the percentage is an F, rough day, okay? And then just for fun, so you guys can get, I'll show you some stuff here. Just for fun, at the end of that little if, else, and if command or statement, or it's really like a miniature program or object, I wanted it to play the sound of the bell. And the reason I did that is so that you would know when we go through this whole loop, all right? Because we're going to do this several times. And so you're going to hear a bell play several times. And then when I'm all done, okay, so that's going to loop through 1, 2, how many ever numbers I put in there. When we're all done, it'll say end for, because we're done with the for loop. And then it'll print at the end, thank you for using the Tadam's percent to letter grade converter. Okay, so let's run the program. Now I'll explain what all this stuff is. So it says, welcome, how many percents would you like to convert to letter grades? I'm going to put 7. It says you have entered 7 percentages to be converted to letter grades. Please enter please enter percentage for grade 1. Grammar error. I should probably fix that. But so I'm going to enter in 98. So that went through the loop the first time. Now notice that it changed from A equals 1, now it's A equals 2. But it's saying please enter the percentage for grade number 2. So I'm going to plug in 92. We've gone through the loop. Now A went from A equals 1 to A equals 2 to A equals 3. Please enter in the next grade. I'm going to put 89. Notice that it switched from A to B. Next I'm going to put it right at 80. Okay. Then I'm going to plug in 73 and it spit out C. Good job. Now I'm going to put in 65. And now we're at our last one, which is grade number 7. So this should be the last one. So I'm going to put in 43. That's my percentage. It says thank you for using Tadam's percent to letter grade converter. Okay, so now I'm going to close this just to show you that it's dynamic, and we're only going to enter in 3 grades. So now at the beginning I'm going to put in 3 grades. So I'll enter in 87, 37, and 84. Notice that it ends the program after I've only selected 3 grades.